as Colombia. It's an historic matter. We have been libertarian, we have not been authoritarian. We had Marxist guerrillas, and we still have them, and they are very powerful. We are the hub of narco-trafficking of Europe and Africa and the US. So that is something to take into consideration, how Colombia did with all these challenges coming out of security. And at the same time, we were very poor. I mean, you say that Nigeria is poor. No, when I was president of Colombia, the per capita income of Colombia was $1,600. So Colombia, until quite recently, was also very poor. So we are a good case to look at, a good case to look at. And I am going to be open of the things I have in mind can be significantly improved. Reading an article of President Obasanjo, my friend, talking about which is the big need of Africa in the years to come, which is the big challenge of Africa in the years to come: leadership. And be certain of that. What you need is leadership. This country is starting to have good leadership, and you can have no doubt that the problems to come are not going to be corruption, but having good leadership to get out of the situation you are living through. And why do I say that is leadership? Because many tough decisions have to be taken in the years to come in many areas, and for that you need leadership. People who stand by the ideas they think, and even if they have opposition, even if they have protests, they do the things they have to do. Mr. Masha is his last name, says something about agriculture and Brazil just a few moments ago. And I want to start talking about agriculture, having so many things to talk about. Do you know which is the best agriculture in the world today? Brazil. It's not the European Union, it's not the United States, it's Brazil. And how they did it, they have an excellent research institute, official, government finance. And through the last years, they have been working in developing seeds, in developing new grasses, and they have brought them from Africa, from India. They have been developing, solving health problems. And today they are first in every one of the tropical products of the world, first in exports. And they have done that in an incredible way. They use badlands. They have an area called El Cerrado. And El Cerrado is land without nutrients, land with a very acid land, and they increased the land they were using in Brazil 30%, and they increased production 150%. And with that, the economist is saying by 2025, the first exporter of food in the world is not going to be the US, but Brazil. And instead of having the 20% of subsidies of the European Union, or the 12% of subsidies of the US, they are using 5% as subsidies to some of the activities that they have in Brazil. What they are doing everything. They are doing this with campesinos, but also with new entrepreneurs. They are doing capitalistic development, and they are also using people who live in rural areas. So when you see how much land they are using, 50 million hectares. How much Arab land Nigeria has? 70 million hectares. Of course, they have more hectares to use in the years to come. But when you see that in 50 million hectares, Brazil is the power it is in agriculture, you have to think why Nigeria cannot do the same. Why? It's the same products. When you see rubber, palm oil, and cocoa, chocolate, and nuts, and all this maize, and all, it's exactly the same kind of products because it's tropical. Brazil is tropical. The products they plant are exactly the same, the ones you do. So that is a big challenge for this country. I mean, the potential for agriculture in Nigeria is big, very big. Of course, you need to do more irrigation, but you have the water to do more irrigation. He was talking about water, and he was talking about land, and he was talking, and there is one more thing, son. You know, the future, the difficult thing in the next 20, 30, 40 years is not going to be producing the grain. It's going to be producing the proteins, which demand increases every time people receive more salaries and more money. And not many countries can produce that protein. And Nigeria is one of them that can produce a significant amount of new protein for the world. I don't fully agree with an assessment that Nigeria is not going to be an oil country in the years ahead. I think it will be, for one reason. There are only two countries which have so much reserves that can really expand their production of oil in the years ahead. One is Venezuela, that will not do it because they make many mistakes. And the other is Nigeria. So you have a big potential. And you have another thing to do that is very surprising. You are flaring the gas, the natural gas. This country can use their natural gas and export all the oil it produces. That is something that shouldn't be that difficult. You are flaring the gas. You are not caring about that. Of course, the countries that do things right take the gas, generate electricity, take the gas, reinject it in the land to improve the production of oil. There are many things, but in Colombia, 90% of the households receive natural gas. We have a big system of pipelines, and 90% of homes do not use electricity coming from the grid. They use electricity they use energy that comes out of gas. This is a big possibility this country has, using their gas and exporting all the oil you have. So there you have a big potential in the energy sector, and you should use that. To have gas today is as good or even better than having oil. That is for certain. What is looking Europe for? Gas? They're much more interested in gas than in oil. And for that reason, you should appreciate a lot more the gas you have and that you are flaring. I mean, 10% of the gas that is flaring in the world today is flared here in Nigeria. So that is something that this country should do. In oil policy, there are two problems, or basically two. Of course, there are many. But one is onshore, the problem of security in the Delta. And offshore, basically, that there is no policy. There is not good policies. Well, I know the security problem. Openly, frankly, many people will not agree. We had problems much more serious than Nigeria today in Colombia 25 years ago. And we decided to invest in security and for narco things, narco material for Europe. And I don't believe that the policy, the drug policy we have in place is good. I think it's very bad. And I oppose totally that idea of making of every consumer of drugs a criminal and creating mafias and all that. I think that is wrong. But as far as it is, we have to confront that problem. We were talking about onshore and offshore. Basically, what is missing is rules. A good policy for companies to do exploration offshore. Why don't you do it? I don't really understand why. Just because you don't do it. But it's not so difficult to do it. This is a matter of rules, a matter of policy. So do it. It's for the convenience of Nigeria to have good rules, good contracts for the companies that do offshore. And I say it particularly because it's so difficult to do it onshore, that let's help the companies to do it offshore. The other problem that you have here is that the pipelines are destroyed by these people who oppose the exploitation of the oil. The other thing you can do is to give to the cities where these activities develop more part of the resources. When people receive resources from for these activities, be certain that they will defend more. What foreign company asks for a significant protection of an area, we just ask them to pay for a new brigade, and they do it. It's much better for them to do that than to abandon the country or to abandon the oil rig. So there are many things you can do efficiently. Really, you can think Nigeria is very difficult. Well, sorry, the Middle East is much more difficult. I mean, the competition is not a competition with the paradise or Norway. No, the competition is with countries that have the same difficulties, much more difficulties than you can find in Nigeria. I think President Buhari, who is a man of integrity, who has a very good temperament, will be able to face some of the problems of Boko Haram and the Muslim population and start to improve that problem. But you cannot have full confidence that that will happen And you have to start to face that as a security problem and deal as a security problem, to be certain. The same with the people that oppose the exploration of oil in the delta. In this country, I know the fiscal problem you have, but to grow 3% is not a tragedy. You can ask any European, any Latin American. I mean, very few countries in the world are going to grow more than 3% this year. From the state, from the national state, and from the states. And